You ever wake up and realize you're not just having a bad dream, but living smack in the middle of someone else's fever dream? That's exactly what hit me the morning I found 70 cabins sprouting up across my private island, like someone had dropped a suburban subdivision into the middle of my peace and quiet. I mean, you buy an island to get away from neighbors, not to host a luxury HOA's summer camp. But there it was, the sound of hammers, the glare of orange vests, bulldozers churning up my old picnic spot, and a massive banner flapping in the breeze that read, HOA Island Community. Luxury cabins now open. I just stood there in my coffee-stained flannel, mug in hand, watching the show. Didn't yell, didn't storm over. Just felt that slow burn, the kind you get when you see your own house on fire and know the insurance check has your name on it. Except this wasn't just property. This was my sanctuary. I'd retired out here for the silence, the bay mist in the morning, and the kind of patience you only develop when the ferry's always on your schedule and paperwork takes 3 weeks to cross the water. My whole goal was to stay as far from HOAs and committee meetings as I could. So watching one show up on my land, it was like finding graffiti on your own soul. I wandered down to the shore, where a barge was unloading enough lumber to build a city block. The foreman, big guy, cheerful, waved me over like I was just another worker. Careful, buddy, HOA's got the North Ridge blocked off for Phase 2. Phase 2. That told me all I needed to know. There was a plan, and plans leave trails, paper, digital, you name it. His badge said Ridgeview Homeowners Association, and when I asked who was running the show, he handed me Haskins' number. Said he was the HOA president. Claimed the island was public extension property. Now, I know the difference between public and private about as well as I know the taste of my own coffee. So I pulled up the county's map, right there on my phone, zoomed in, and sure enough, my name, still listed, big as day. Every nail, every plank, technically mine. I called Haskins. Got him on the line. Guy answered like he was the mayor of paradise. When I told him who I was, he laughed, said my section fell under some community easement when the bay's jurisdiction changed. Said they were developing eco cabins for a new retreat and not to worry, I'd be invited to the grand opening. I hung up, not out of anger, but because I could already see where this was going. A bunch of HOA officials playing developer, probably spending other people's dues, building rentals with one dock, on someone else's land, and assuming no one would notice. It was arrogant, sure. But more than that, it was financial suicide. That afternoon, I flew my drone over every corner of the island, logging video, snapping timestamps, even grabbing a few invoices dropped in the sand, building my own little mountain of evidence. By evening, I was back on the mainland, watching as the cabins glowed under floodlights, the workers talking about how the HOA would make a killing off the place. Joke was on them. The only one making a killing would be me, just not in the way anyone expected. I spent the next few days invisible, let the construction keep rolling. They laid pipes, built docks, stuck solar panels everywhere. I even waved at a few county inspectors when they passed by, just to see if they'd notice me. Nobody did. Every cement pour, every nail, was another dollar in my pocket. And on the third day, I paid a quiet visit to the county assessor's office with a flash drive full of drone footage. The clerk, a young woman with a coffee stain and an eyebrow ring, barely glanced up as she scrolled through the records. Those structures are on parcel 14B. That's me. But the HOA filed their permits under 14A. Perfect. I asked her to file a temporary improvement notice for all visible structures, pending ownership verification. She did, unknowingly making me the official landlord of 70 brand new cabins. By Friday, the HOA held a press conference, big smiles for the cameras, ribbon cutting, and everything. Haskins boasted about community spirit and shared prosperity. Said, "No one owns nature, right?" I almost choked on my coffee. The following Monday, my lawyer sent over rental agreements for all 70 properties, at market rate, backdated to the first construction day. Failure to pay? Eviction, and a notice of lien. By Tuesday, the local paper ran the story. Ownership dispute over HOA island cabins raises questions. The HOA board panicked. Then something beautiful happened. One of them messed up an email CC, and suddenly, I started getting their panicked replies. He's extorting us. The deed matches his island. Their confusion spread faster than gossip at a bake sale. I sat back on my porch, listening to the seagulls, the hammering in the distance, and I realized I wasn't angry anymore, just deeply entertained. They tried to take my island for profit. Now I was about to take their pride and rent. The next morning, the island was wrapped in a fog so thick it felt like the world had ended at the shoreline. I brewed another coffee and started thinking. Fast construction means they skipped corners. No full inspections, no real permits. More leverage for me. I called Pete, an old friend, marine contractor, charming as hell. Explained what was happening. He whistled. Buddy, that's like pitching tents in Fort Knox and claiming squatters' rights. You want me to dig? I told everything. Give me 48 hours, he said. Sure enough, while Pete was snooping, I kept a straight face, walking the job site, pretending to inspect for the HOA. The arrogance was almost poetic. No stormwater drains, no proper railings, exposed power lines near the pier. Each mistake another dollar sign. In the Welcome Center, I picked up a brochure advertising the Ridgeview Island retreat. Tagline: Experience nature responsibly. I nearly lost it. 2 days later, Pete called back. They forged a zoning extension, used the HOA's maintenance fund to pay contractors. That's embezzlement, buddy. Federal charges. He sent over emails, permits, everything. I sorted the evidence, date-stamped and ready, not for revenge, yet. Revenge without order is chaos. And chaos doesn't pay rent. Later that week, a yacht showed up, Haskins in full CEO mode, all smiles and mirrored sunglasses. Glad we could finally meet, he said, like we were neighbors. I told him, you built 70 homes on my property. He tried to smooth-talk it, eco-village initiative, mutually beneficial, community value. I cut him off. Technically, it's also trespassing, tax, fraud, and an environmental violation. His smile died. That's when the real circus began. Inspectors, lawyers, board reps, all showing up daily, desperate for a way out. One even asked if I'd donate the land for a tax write-off. I laughed out loud. They threatened eminent domain, except the island wasn't even in their jurisdiction. I hired a property manager, registered each cabin under my holding company, set up automated rent collection, and, just to nail the point, listed the cabins online for short-term rental. I didn't need real guests yet, just a public record. Then the HOA's lawyer emailed a cease and desist. Claimed I was interfering with association property. I sent back a copy of my deed, stamped, 2 decades before the HOA even existed, and a polite reminder that rent was due by the end of the month. Silence. For once, it was golden. By now, the HOA's accounts were frozen, board members quitting, and residents demanding refunds. Construction ground to a halt. I walked through the ghost town of cabins, each one a monument to their arrogance. That's when I found the letter from Sharon Lee, their treasurer. She claimed she'd tried to warn Haskins about the property boundaries, but he'd waved her off. She slid over a folder at our cafe meeting. Forged invoices, shell companies, proof he was building rentals for his own profit with HOA money. Armed with that, I filed a formal claim for rent on unauthorized construction, using their own documents. The legal gears started turning. The local paper ran headlines about HOA mismanagement and private island fraud. The board imploded. Sharon kept me updated. Members were now suing Haskins for fraud. Meanwhile, the county launched an environmental investigation based on drone footage showing the HOA had dumped debris in tidal zones. Fines hit $200,000. Haskins tried to claim mutual benefit on TV, but even the reporters weren't buying it. Eventually, the board caved, offered to settle, called it temporary use compensation instead of rent. I refused, insisting on market rate payments and formal acknowledgement of my ownership. By now, the cabins were online and booked. Actual guests loved the rustic charm. The place finally made money, without me lifting a hammer. A storm rolled in, tearing down the HOA's billboards and banners. Like nature itself wanted to erase their intrusion. When the clouds cleared, the damage was theirs, not mine. Legal letters piled up, but every argument was just more proof of their panic. Then came their last trick, accusing me of environmental violations. I handed the county inspector drone footage of their own mess. Fines doubled. Haskins, desperate, started spreading rumors and anonymous blog posts. It was almost sad, like watching a man drown in shallow water. The final act? Haskins himself, sneaking onto the island at night, caught on my security cameras trying to sabotage the generator. The sheriff's patrol hauled him away. The next morning, the headline: Disgraced HOA president arrested for attempted vandalism. That was it. The HOA collapsed. Members sued the board. The cabins transferred to my company officially, and the last remnant, the ferry dock, was auctioned. I bought it for a single bid. The first thing I did was repaint the sign. Weller Island Ferry. Simple, honest mine. Sharon stopped by, lighter now that she'd left the HOA world behind. Told me Haskins was doing community service, picking up trash on the very coastline he once tried to own. I nearly choked laughing. She asked if I'd sell the place. I told her, "You can't sell peace. You just live in it until it feels normal again." As the seasons changed, the island healed. Tourists arrived, quiet and respectful. Kids building sandcastles where bulldozers once stood. People called me a folk hero, the guy who made the HOA pay rent. It made me laugh. Heroes look for a fight. I just refused to surrender. One morning, Haskins himself came back. Older, beaten down, holding an envelope, a final restitution check. "You were right," he said. "I lost everything trying to prove you wrong." I just told him, "What lasts can't be stolen." He nodded and left, another ghost in the story. Now, when the tide comes in and the cabins glow in the sunset, I sit on the porch with my coffee, listening to the quiet. Revenge faded into restoration. The land is whole, the battle over. The lesson? Ownership isn't about paper or fences, it's about standing your ground until even the loudest storms bow to the calm. So let me ask you, what would you have done? When arrogance comes for what's yours, do you fight, do you fold, or do you wait until the storm burns itself out? Drop your thoughts below, share your own battles for what's right, and let's remind the world, sometimes the quietest victories echo the loudest. And hey, if you ever visit the island, look for me on the ridge at sunset, still sipping coffee, still smiling, still the landlord of peace.